What's up, Black Love fam? Apologies for the delay. As always, with the live streaming, there's always a hiccup here and there, right? But we're here. I'm here. I'm your host for the afternoon, evening, wherever you're live streaming right now. David Wasicki, host of Man to Man, weekly wellness podcast, as well as general manager of Black Love. And very, very, very excited to have you all here, given that you have all been jumping into our podcasts and the podcast network as a whole here on Facebook, and we haven't even promoted it yet. So much love, appreciate the support. We have a ton of info, fun, and exciting things coming your way yet to happen later this month, but we have some great podcasts for you. My New BFF with Cody Elaine Oliver, who is our CEO, co-founder of Black Love. We also have Soul Affirmations with Kariga and Felicia Bailey. We also have The Amazing Clarks featuring your favorites, Melanie and Anthony Clark. We have Black Love, The Interviews, which is essentially our OG collection of all the interviews seen and unseen on Black Love Doc, unedited, raw, uncut, so you get all the things. And then you got me, David Wasicki, hosting Man to Man weekly. And, we do some interesting things. This is not your average podcast. I try to keep it to not be average because we create a safe space for men from all fields, entertainment fields, music, finance, business world, entertainment, all the things. Create a safe space, get vulnerable, get open. We laugh, we cry, we share emotions. We talk about fatherhood. We talk about parenting. We talking about what it is to be a Black man in America. We talk about what it is to get in tune with your masculine energy. So we go there. And I think the beauty in this podcast is that we are creating this safe space. We are creating this type of dialogue and conversation. And yes, it is wellness, and it's wellness in all of its forms. So it's not just mental, it's not just physical. We go into spiritual, we go into financial, we go into entrepreneurial, we go into the day-to-day, how to set up your days, how to set up your mindset, how to set up just getting out into the world and, being human. So we've had some interesting conversations along the way so far. We've spoken to Christian Keys, Jay Barnett, another favorite of mine. I mean, every man I think I'm going to mention right now is a favorite of mine. So, if I haven't had him back on the show yet, they will be back on the show. Anthony Clark of The Amazing Clarks. Also have featured Kariga Bailey, and, the list goes on. But what's at the heart of it is everyone is unique in their own way, and everyone has their own approach to life. So with that, I also want to see if there are any questions from you who have been listening, who maybe just started listening, who just became familiar on Facebook, on Apple, Spotify, etc., but would love for you to fill the comments with some questions, and we could totally jump into some Q&A and get this thing going and make a pseudo interview here from some of you and for some of you. But, in the meantime, like I said, you could check us out here on Facebook. You could check us out on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on the Black Love Plus app, shameless plug. So, I think for me, what I appreciate most in the meantime, while I'm waiting for the questions to pour in, and we get started there, is the fact that I'm learning. I'm learning just like you're learning. And I love that. I think being curious and remaining curious about all the ways people walk this earth is the best way because we remain a student of life. And I think if we approach life that way, we're always learning and growing. And no two interviews have been alike. No two men have ever described masculinity in the same two ways. And there's a lot of gems that come that I think are good for men and, frankly, for women and however you identify yourself as. Because at the end of the day, it's all about humanity, and it's all about love, and it's all about finding love. And I don't mean romantic only. I mean self-love. I mean love of community. I mean relationship love, love for children, love for family, etc. So it's a beautiful thing that we're creating. It's something I'm very proud of. And just waiting for a few more questions to come in so that, again, we can create a little safe space of our own. So one question I see here is my favorite gem. Oh man, tough question because again, every guest has dropped them, multiple ones. I will say the one that comes to mind because it's personal for me is from Jay Barnett, aka King Barnett. Shout out, and essentially taking care of self first to be able to serve others. It's huge. It sounds very simple, and it may start sounding cliche if you're on, all the socials and everyone's just blowing up with these cool quotes and cute quotes. But for me, it hit deep. It hit deep when we interviewed with him on an episode where I got emotional. I broke down, and it's because it hit home. It effectively became therapy for me during that interview session, where I quickly realized it's something I wasn't doing for myself, where I wasn't practicing what I preached. And a big thing is self-love, and it's self-love where you are addressing the things that you need to address. That's self-love, and going through those motions and challenges and the ups and the downs and trying to figure out who you are and who's a better version of yourself, and still growing and still doing the simple things, doing the topical things. But it's when you go in, that's when you come out of this thing with something bigger and a whole lot more special for yourself and growth as a person. So to keep that one short, I'll go there with King Jay's gem. Another question: what's your favorite podcast episode so far? Yeah, thanks for all the hard questions, which is beautiful. Keep them coming. So, favorite podcast episode. There are a few. Of course, I'm going to say that, but I think one that everyone should tune into is the episode with Major. The reason I say that is because there were so many gems dropped. It's effectively a wellness episode for all areas of wellness: mental, spiritual, physical, start to finish. And right now, he's the hope dealer with a brand new spoken word album that's out there. It's beautiful. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out wherever you listen. But I definitely say that's probably the favorite episode right now. The other episode is yet to be published. That's something in the future that's coming out, so I will not reveal what's happening there, but there's another one coming. Okay, waiting for these questions to load. So as they load, I'll just let you know about myself a little bit so that you understand why me, why this guy, why the GM of Black Love, why is he the wellness guy and the wellness expert. Well, firstly, I'll say I'm no expert, but I am learning as the rest of us are learning. And for me, it all started for myself when I've effectively grew up in a neighborhood that wasn't the greatest, that was somewhat food desertish. I mean, we had one stand for fruits and vegetables. We had some local supermarket, but unfortunately, a lot of my diet was fast food. I mean, I had honey buns, and if anybody knows what honey buns are, especially New York, uh, picking up the honey bun at the local bodega, that was that was the way to go. Pick that up and a quarter canteen juice, and you were good for lunch. But having those options or limited options and not knowing how I was feeding my body, not knowing how my community and my surroundings limiting my views of what's actually out there. And for so long, I just didn't understand that this was affecting my mood, this was affecting my habits, my daily behavior. And eventually, I got into a state of depression for a number of years. And even to this day, I'll be honest, we're family here, right? I'll be honest, I have my moments where I do backslide, where I do feel it, because there are certain emotions that are very familiar, and it becomes that familiar friend, or not friend. But, I talk about something called an emotional home, but I'll hold that for you to listen to those episodes. But nevertheless, yeah, so I fell into this depression, and I didn't realize that it was depression, one, because you can't define it, or I couldn't define it at that time. And then two, the food habits, community, and feeling locked in and nowhere to go and nowhere to turn to and no one to turn to. And all I'm hearing is, no disrespect with what I'm about to say, but if it ain't in the Bible, then it ain't it ain't gonna help you. So you got to turn to the Bible to help. But as we know, yes, you need your spiritual backing, but you also sometimes you need more than that. Sometimes you need therapy. Sometimes you need an outside source or set of people to know that you're not the only one. And once I did find out I was not the only one hurting, and was able to diagnose myself and understand that I was in a state of depression, and understood that it wasn't just the mental space, but it was the nutritional food space. It was not moving my body anymore. I went from being very athletic and moving around the streets of New York City at the time when I lived there. I'm now in LA, but it was a lot. All of these things are contributors. It's never, I think when we look at these things, we always try to silo it and say, oh, that's the reason why. And then you diagnose, and then doctors, people throw prescriptions your way. But I think there's a lot more to look into. And again, that's why I'm so happy to be able to share my journey and all the other details. But I feel like that's where the heart of my journey really comes from, that depressive moment in my life, and understanding the factors that really took place. And it wasn't just one thing, it was all the things. It was mind, body, soul. And once I could course correct that, that's when I got myself out. That's when I started this wellness journey effectively and started becoming very passionate about it, especially in the past few years with what's going on in the world and us culturally, which has always been going on, and then, was magnified 100-fold in recent years. So yeah, that's the journey so far in a nutshell. I could go on and give you all the other things, but to be able to address the rest of your questions, let's see what else is out there. Who is your dream guest? So another easy one, right? There are a number of folks out there doing a lot of great work, being a great example for me, honestly, for a number of reasons, but I will say Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Why him? He has embodied this. There's this word, you can look it up. I'm not going to do a great job of defining it right now. A word called equanimity. He has been at the highest highs. He's been at the lowest lows. He's now, all of a sudden, when you look on social, everything looks like it happened overnight. But he's been able to transcend so many stereotypes and boxes, and been able to choose his path, handle his wellness, handle celebrity, handle family life, handle nutrition, be spiritually grounded. I mean, he hits all the boxes, and he's one of the biggest superstars in the world, yet somehow he's able to get to this level of equanimity with grounding himself, with being able to anchor himself in his fitness, in his mana, as he says, which is soul and spirit, and getting spiritual, his nutrition, except for his cheat days. So I'm not gonna make this a whole rock fan club show, but he'd be it, because he embodies all the things. So I'd love to understand and pick his brain and understand how did you get there, and how do you continue to do it in the face of the level of celebrity that he has. What's another question here? So the next question is effectively the question I ask all of my guests, and that is to give them the man-to-man blue check seal of approval. And that's, what's your definition of masculinity? And now this is the first time I'm being asked, and I never really thought about it, but I kind of give my guests tidbits of my response. So if I had to say what my definition of masculinity is, it would be that which embodies strength, courage, and wisdom. Not to say feminine energy doesn't, but wisdom from a masculine perspective. I believe that we all have masculine and feminine energy. I think it goes beyond gender. So, that's the short of it. The long of it is that, again, masculinity, there is a masculine wisdom, there is a feminine wisdom. I feel as though feminine energy, feminine wisdom spawns creativity of life. And I think masculine wisdom brings about a level of support, whether it's within family, self, relationships, community, business building. But to round out masculinity, I think it's tapping into that energy that allows you to be able to, again, have that strength, that courage, that confidence, that wisdom, and be able to approach it from a stronger, more raw standpoint. Whereas feminine energy, I would say you do all of that the same, but it's from more of an internal, heartfelt. I think masculine starts coming up here a little bit more. Another question: whose definition of masculinity caught you the most off guard? That's a very good question. Let me think. I mean, again, everybody's was so good. You guys are great with the questions. Maybe you'll co-host an episode with me in the future. Maybe I'll get us to do a sweepstakes on that. Who was the toughest? I'd say one of the toughest, not toughest, but catching me off guard was probably probably the most recent episode that you'll hear with Seth Brundle, and this isn't a shameless plug. This is because when he defined masculinity on the episode, I'm not going to ruin it, and I'm not going to say his definition. What I will say is the place that it came from defies what people see in terms what people think Black fatherhood is, and then what Black fatherhood actually is. So I'm going to leave it at that. It's a very fun episode. Very we go all the places. It's definitely one of my more fun ones and memorable in that way. But I'd say he probably did so because it came from such a fatherly, and from his father, a fatherly perspective of masculinity. Yet it was very modern. So yeah, I'll say Seth Brundle, shout out. Caught me off guard the most. Just checking to see if we have any more questions. Waiting, no, but it seems like this sweepstakes idea might be a great idea. I just saw a note from our super producer, so maybe that is something you guys look out for in the future. Yeah, she's very excited about the concept. So something we're definitely going to look into, and definitely will follow up with all of you out there. In the meantime, please take a listen to Man to Man. I think with the guests that are coming up, we have some exciting folks that are on the way. Jared Cotter, if you're not familiar with him, look him up. You're going to know who he is very, very soon. The Spencer Pasinger, who I interviewed when we used to do Man to Man as an IG Live, and then again, thanks to you, the Black Love fam, we quickly turned it into a podcast because we just had to distribute this thing bigger and better, and that was where the demand was coming from. So we're going to interview him again. I really look forward to that. I all the success he's had, and I appreciate him, and look forward to having that follow-up conversation with where he was since, being on Black Love Doc, and I interviewed him when he was part of last season, and since then and now, things have just ballooned. So I'm very excited to catch up with him. And, as always, I look to you. I look to the Black Love fam to let me know, who do you want me to talk to? Who do you want me to go man to man with and get vulnerable, open, and honest, and just dive deep into all the things that's going on to keep this thing going. I say it at the end of every single episode, but it really does come down to you in terms of keeping this thing going, keeping these conversations going, keep uplifting one another, especially men in the community, but at large. Like I said, these conversations are beautiful conversations for all. And it's here on Facebook, it's on Apple Podcasts, it's on Spotify, it's on the Black Love Plus app. It's where you find us and wherever you listen to your podcast. So make sure to tune in. Check out Man to Man Thursdays, 6 a.m. PST, which is 9 a.m. EST. Still got my math on. And be sure to check us out. Be sure to check out all the amazing interviews that are out there so far. Again, very, very, very excited for some of the talent that we have coming soon. And these next conversations that we're going to have over the next 3 weeks, they won't be solo scenarios like this. We're still going to do the Q&As. We're still going to keep it informative. We're still going to let you know what we're doing. We're still going to make it a semi-podcast-esque episode, but next week we're chatting with the host of My New BFF, Cody Elaine Oliver, who, like I said at the top of this, is also co-founder, CEO of Black Love. So that's going to be amazing. And it's going to be very amazing for me to be able to interview her in front of all of you. We have the amazing Clarks. They are just that amazing. You're going to love them. Soul Affirmations, Kariga and Felicia Bailey, another amazing couple. And again, I may have mentioned this, but I think I got cut off. We have two amazing, and it's not just because I'm GM, amazing podcasts that are coming out at the end of this month that, again, fill a void. And I think that's the beauty of this podcast network. We're going quality over quantity here, and we're just making sure to hit 360 degrees of Black Love. And one of them has to do with parenting. One of them has to do with a new way of talking to, I'm going to try to say this without saying it, without ruining things, but a way for women to speak to one another in different, at different stages of their life, and just get real and just get down to it and break the norms of what you think some of those identities as women are, whether they are parents or single or otherwise, and just really get into all the things. So I'm really excited about the slate we have currently, the talent we have currently. They're all family, and the new family that we're bringing at the end of this month. So stay tuned, end of this month. Stay tuned for the next 3 Thursdays right here again, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern time. And thank you all so much again for rocking with me today, rocking with me every week. And I hope that those episodes you get to listen to touch you and affect you as much as they affect me every time I get on the mic and get off the mic to grow myself and grow my own self-wellness. So thanks again, Black Love fam. Be talking to you again next Thursday. Until then.